McLovin out here got jokes. I see you. Says should have done the over-under if we're on time today. Technically, you would have hit on the over because I was a little bit late today. But that's because YouTube took so long to get the stream ready to go. Braves Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always, man. On today's episode, we have so much to get into. We get an update on the Coby Bryant injury, and we finally get the big practice, the one that everybody is talking about as, you know, this is the one that's going to decide where we are in this process. All that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel or just haven't had a chance to do so, man, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Appreciate you guys who tune in every single day. Hey, this is the only channel talking Chicago sports. How's Chicago talk? So make sure that you stay in tune with us, man. So let's start it off here. I mean, this is the obvious spot to start, and we will get to the good. There was a lot of good things that happened in today's practice. I thought today's practice was a very back and forth practice, but probably the lead story for everything is the update that we got on Coby Bryant's injury timeline. Now, you know, we had heard from Shefty. Now, I've got a conspiracy theorist on this as well. We had heard from Shefty that it was going to be an 8 to 10 week period for Coby Bryant to return. That put him at about, you know, returning week 3 to about week 5, somewhere in there. But instead, Ben Johnson comes out today and he lets us know that that timeline, in fact, is being seriously upgraded. Apparently, this was always the timeline because he had to have surgery on the injured knee, and that is now a 4 to 6 month recovery, which creates a potential return window somewhere between December and February. So like right around the playoffs, right? Like right around the playoffs. So like to me, seeing that change in the timeline, very shocking from an Adam Schefter report there. And I mean, like the entire regular season essentially for Coby Bryant is done now. It's you know, the mindset that the Bears have in this entire conversation, you heard Caleb talk about it, you heard Ben talk about it, is we'll be ready for them when the playoffs get here. That means that you got to be in the playoffs for this to count. That's a massive piece for you to lose for that amount of time. I mean, the entire game plan that Ben Johnson had talked about, or I should say that Ryan Poles had talked about, right? Of, hey, you know, we can cover longer because we're going to have the speed and these DBs, and we're not going to need, you know, the quarterback can hold the football just a little bit longer because we have such good DBs. And right now you're in a situation where Coby Bryant's dead, Kyler Gordon's dead, the Tyreek Stevenson you have trust issues with, by the way. He is playing really, really well through this camp. Kind of feels like Tyreek Stevenson might be having a bounce back season. And you're talking about Jalen Johnson, who probably is having, I would say, a quiet camp, but doesn't mean it's a bad camp, right? It's a quiet camp for the reason that we want it to be. If Jalen's on that side of the field, we're probably throwing away from Jalen. You've seen a couple of plays where they've gotten the best of Jalen, but Jalen's done really good in coverage throughout. But you're living in this DB room that kind of is now, hey, a young player like Dylan Thieneman is back there trying to figure it out on the fly. That's a tough spot for you to be starting your NFL career with. And now the veterans that you maybe could have looked across at, right, when Cam Lewis was there, that you could have looked across at and said, hey, that's a guy that at least I know is here learning with me and has been in the NFL before. He's gone. So now you're down to Xavier Woods, and not to say that Cam Lewis is going to be a long-term thing, but you're just kind of, at every turn, it feels like you've gotten that gut punch if you're Dylan Thieneman on the guy that's supposed to be the veteran voice in that room. So losing Coby Bryant, I think, is going to be pretty significant here. Let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below. I mean, I think it's the difference between, and I'll get into it, what we saw today. I truly think it's the difference between this defense being, this is going to sound real bad, mediocre, or a defense that probably gets walked all over on a day in and day out basis. Like, you guys know, if you've watched the show, if you follow the channel, I've never been massively high on where the defense was going to rank. I don't believe in the philosophy that you build from the DBs in. I think you build from your D-line out. But if you show me that if you go out there and prove that you can do it, I'm not going to say anything wrong about it. I'm going to sit there and be like, tip my hat to you, ball up top. You cooked. It didn't feel like that's where this defense is at in this first scrimmage. And hopefully, it's something that improves over a little bit of time. Now, I do have a little bit of a conspiracy theory on this whole thing, right? Because Shefty had an 8 to 10 week timeline. An 8 to 10 week timeline. That's very different from a 4 to 6 month timeline. So for those of you who have seen, I think it's two pretty big shows. If you've seen Suits or if you've seen Game of Thrones, I believe this has happened in both of these. I truly wonder if Ben Johnson told a bunch of people that they thought maybe were speaking to the media a little too freely. We're speaking with Shefty. I truly wonder if Ben was like, you know what? Hey, we're going to tell him 8 to 10 weeks. We're going to tell him 6 to 4 weeks. We're going to tell him 3 to 6 months. And we're going to tell him, the actual timeline. And we're going to figure out who's talking to Adam Schefter. And Shefty tweets out that 8 to 10 week recovery timeline. And then Ben comes out today and says, not only is it 4 to 6 months, but this always was the timeline. I wonder if there was a little bit of trickeration on the part of Ben Johnson to sniff out the guy that he was like, let me tell you something. You want to talk to the media? That's your thing. But we're going to figure out who you are. And we're going to get you up out of here. It doesn't seem that far-fetched to me. Let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below. All right, let's get into practice. Of course, we talked about Coby Bryant and, what that's going to mean. I think now the secondary is going to have to step up in a pretty massive way. You're going to need to see a lot from Malik Muhammad. You're going to need to see a lot from Dylan Thieneman, and at least one of those names, Dylan Thieneman. He's a rookie. It's going to take time. You have to let it develop. But oh boy, did DeAndre Swift do some devious things to Dylan Thieneman today. I mean, probably my biggest on-field takeaway from today's practice was that the Chicago Bears run game is going to be a force. I mean, you're talking about an offense. And so how this practice is kind of shaped that is different from other practices, right? Now, you got to break this down, is a lot of the other practices, the defense kind of knows what to expect. They don't know exactly what play is going to run, but you somewhat know, okay, this is going to be a run play. This is going to be a pass play. This is how we need to align ourselves, because you're going through the install portion of it. You're going through that, like trying to figure things out. This was the first time through the entire process where, and I'm not going to say the first time, but probably the first full time that it was a game plan style. And Ben Johnson talked about that, where the defense essentially just had the game plan and didn't have, okay, the offense is going to be running here, they're going to be passing here, blah, 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 blah. And boy, did it look like it. My biggest takeaway, the number one thing that I continue to write down from training camp today, and I think I wrote this probably 3 or 4 times here. Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? Boom, boom, boom. There it is. Defense is not as easy when you don't know the play. That's how it looked today. It looked like a defense that just was trying to figure it out as things were happening, and at a certain point did, but early on in the practice, the run game absolutely dominated. I mean, you want to talk about a run game. By the way, hit that like button, subscribe to the page if you have not done so. We appreciate all the thumbs up that the videos get. DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai essentially open up practice with explosive runs, both of them. And I think this kind of goes into a conversation on how often the Bears are going to utilize Darnell Wright and Jonah Jackson and some of those tight ends on that side when they're running that 13 personnel. Both of those were to the right side. They both came towards Dio Adengbo and Jordan Vandenberg, and it was an onslaught. I mean, it truly was a run game that was and it was twofold as well. It was a run game that was running behind two monsters on the offensive line that were clearing the path for you. And then with both running backs running as hard as we have seen those guys run from last season to where we're at right now. I mean, DeAndre Swift had a play where Dylan Thieneman had him in his sights. He put him down. I mean, legitimately, shoulder into chest, you're on the ground, and I'm going to keep going here. And I'm sorry that you had to be the one to experience it. Welcome to the league, Rook. There was another play where DeAndre Swift is running it outside zone yet again to the right side. It's going to be a very common theme for this Bears team, and you're going to see some things with the 13 personnel, and I'll break that down as well, that I think are going to kind of offset that so you can be even and teams aren't just figuring you out there. But Ben Johnson likes to be that guy that just stands in the middle of the field and says, let's be two boxers and punch each other in the face, and the last one standing, that's the one that wins. You need those big boys up front, but then you get DeAndre Swift on another play. He's running outside zone. It's to the right side. Nefi Sewell tries to come up for a tackle. DeAndre hits him with, literally, if you watched the game last night, the stream where he hit that little shoulder dip, it was the exact same move. And I'm talking about Sewell's on the ground. He's shook out of his Nikes. DeAndre Swift keeps going. There was some really, really bad tackling that ensued after that. And he kind of spun off of it and took the football just about all the way in for a touchdown. I think he ends up getting caught right before the goal line. But you're seeing a run game that feels very much established right now. You're seeing a run game in practice and in these scrimmages and early on in this process that not only feels like, okay, this is something that you're going to be able to rely on moving forward, but also it's something that is going to make Caleb Williams' life easier. It's something that defenses are always going to have in the back of their mind. And it's why you're seeing Ben Johnson get so many of these big bodies up front. I know we have so much of a conversation about the left tackle position, but I'll tell you what, the amount of holes that the offensive line is able to create, now granted, it might be, going against our defensive line might be a little bit easier, but we even saw that last season, right? When you create those holes, are the running backs able to hit them hard? And if they are they able to get to that second level to where Swift and Monangai really can be dangerous? And I think you saw that for both of those guys. Kyle Monangai even looking like he's got a little bit more speed and elusiveness to him. I mean, there's still you're still getting the aggressive Kyle Monangai, right? The one that you want, the guy that's taking paint chips off of Packers helmets, right? There was a point during the red zone period where Monangai, he basically gets in, he hits a sharp cut back. There's a man there kind of, and he just gives him a little, get out of my way as he walks into the end zone. You're still seeing that toughness there. And on that play, dare I say, shout out Jedrick Wills. Jedrick Wills actually helped create that touchdown by essentially washing his defender out of the play. We'll talk about him a little bit more as well, but you're still seeing the toughness from Kyle Monangai. But I thought today you saw a very creative Kyle Monangai. You saw somebody who, versus the first team defense, was able to use his elusiveness to create some very, very big runs and explosive runs. Again, Ben Johnson talks about the explosiveness that he wants to see from this offense. You saw a Kyle Monangai who pretty consistently was able to be like, let me 1-2 get you out of my way and take it to this next level. I thought he displayed great patience. I thought his vision was very much on display as well today, and he took advantage of the opportunities that he was given alongside Swift. And maybe this year, I think Swift is still a massive part of this offense, but Swift is getting older in running back years, right? And so maybe this is the year where you want to say, look, we want him to be impactful, but we want him to have less carries. Who can we rely on that? I think you could talk about Kyle Monangai, who, by the way, the Savion Ahmed and the camp that he's had a really, really good camp, but Kyle Monangai kind of came back and you can tell he's fully healthy and was basically like, listen, this is my job. We ain't losing this job. There's going to be no conversations on losing this job. Ball up top. So, I think you're seeing, a Kyle Monangai version of the player that we really like that has developed something else that maybe we didn't have. Kyle Monangai wasn't a very elusive player last season. He was somebody that was going to run through your face and then run through your face again and then run through your face again and then run through your face again. I think adding that elusiveness, one, it saves his body, but two, it puts him in a position where you got to think, okay, is he going to just try and run through me? Or is he going to try and sidestep me? That makes him even more dangerous. And I think Those are things that you feel very positive about if you're the Chicago Bears right now. That run game was off to an absolutely great start, and that's something that if you can count on that, it makes Caleb Williams even more dangerous. If you guys have not done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Let me know your thoughts on the run game and how explosive it has looked. Do you feel like that's going to change what this offense is going to be able to do this upcoming season? Or are you kind of like, look, at the end of the day, it's all about Caleb Williams. The run game is great, but Caleb got to be great. Let's see. Let's look at some of the comments, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Rod Craig, I'm assuming. He said, how was the run game with the new center, Bradbury? Listen, the one thing about Garrett Bradbury that really stands out, and we got a chance to talk to Garrett Bradbury today, and he probably speaks the most of any of the offensive linemen, right? Like there's a bunch of guys who they've kind of adopted that Joe Thuney mindset. So when you go into pressers, you kind of expect them not to talk. I think him and Jonah Jackson probably talk the most out of anybody, but Garrett Bradbury is consistent. I don't know if that means he's great. I don't know if that means he's terrible. I don't know, but like you just continue to see him as him and Caleb get on the same page. Points out his assignments. He gets everybody on track. Boom. Snaps the football, ball to Caleb, operation is off. That's all I'm expecting from Garrett Bradbury. When I talked about him when the Bears signed him, I said, listen, he's got no penalties. He gave up no sacks. I will take that. That is something that I am hoping to see continue here in Chicago. Do I think that it means Garrett Bradbury is going to be a road grader, or he's going to be, listen, Drew Dahlman last year, there were times where Drew Dahlman was creating a hole by himself, right? There were times where Drew Dahlman struggled as well. Do I think that Garrett Bradbury can be that level of center where it's like the big plays can be massive and, you're still probably going to be outside of those top 5 centers in the NFL? Yeah. And you know what? That's okay, because your quarterback can make up for a lot of those deficiencies that may pop up as you get through the season. Your quarterback has legs. He can move himself around. And I think that's going to be very beneficial to Garrett Bradbury. Not to say he didn't have that last year with Drake May. He definitely did. But you've also got a quarterback that definitely has more weapons than what Drake May had last season. So hopefully that's something that continues to stand out from the center position. I think that you've seen a lot of consistency. Seeing it hasn't felt like we lost Drew Dahlman. In fact, there are times where you kind of have to like, oh yeah, it's Garrett Bradbury. Because it feels like the offensive line still is moving cohesive outside of that left tackle position that we got to get into. What do we got? What else we got? Baki with the White Sox up. They said White Sox up 4-1 in the top of the 8th inning. Listen, you can't lose when you give away hats for the Pope. You can't lose in those moments. Kane Booker World said, I'm not hearing Bradbury's name, so I'll take that as a positive. Yeah, honestly, bro, like it's not to say that like I'm locked in on Garrett Bradbury every snap. And I do think there have been things, right? There have been some communication issues where there's a false start or whatever it is, right? There's been some communication issues where guys aren't on the same page. And that comes from building a new offensive line unit, essentially what the Bears are doing here. But it hasn't felt like what we saw last season, where the offensive line legitimately on plays, you were just like, oh my God, like they're never going to be able to snap the football. The offense is not going to be able to move if you can't snap the football. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like an offense that very much so is just kind of figuring its way through and figuring things out, very much like many good offenses do during training camp. But it doesn't feel like you swapped entire centers in there. And you know what? As much as I said the Bears probably would want Logan Jones to be the starting guy by the end of this, I think the Bears are very happy with their decision to go get Logan Jones, but to have Garrett Bradbury in the building right now because he's solid. He's able to hold his own. He's able to continue to just, we're just going to figure it out and move through. And Logan Jones needs the reps. He needs to figure out the NFL speed. He needs to figure out the NFL level. And so you don't have to rush him into the process of figuring out the NFL level. And I think that's very, very important. Now, to start the day, we've always, we got to talk about the left tackle position. Jedrick Wills got the start at left tackle today, and he opened up with the first team before rotating out with Karan Amagaji at certain points. And there was a lot of rotating between that left tackle position today. And it's Jedrick's very interesting. Because I've said this kind of the entire offseason, right? The entire time through the process, that you can tell that he's the most talented person on the team at that left tackle position. Right? Like I can see with my eyes, Jedrick Wills is more talented than Karan Amagaji and probably Braxton Jones. But there are just these moments where that talent kind of disappears, or he's not locked in. Maybe it is the focus. Maybe it's he's not locked in. Maybe it's he doesn't know the system and he's still learning those things. All of these things can be true, but maybe it's more the system thing than anything. This is a complex offense that we saw left tackle struggle with last season, and it took them a while into the season to figure it out. So I would assume you're going to go with the more talented guy as things go through. But yet again, right, like Jedrick Wills today, there were a couple of plays where he got the best of Austin Booker, blew him off of the line. You're moving the football down the field, and you're like, man, look at the power on this guy. Look how he's attacking. This guy's got it. And then there's other plays like the back-to-back false starts from Jedrick Wills. What was the other thing that stood out to me? Oh, he had one play, and it ended up being a screen pass. But I mean, Jedrick steps back, goes to hit Austin, just doesn't have neither the positioning, the leverage, or proper footwork on the play. Austin Booker hits him with a long arm, and he basically died. You know what I mean? And look, I get it. It's a screen pass, but like that's not the point of the play. That's not what the operation is supposed to be. And so, like, you see these moments from Jedrick where he looks so good, where he displays his physical talent, and you can see that this is why this young man was drafted as high as he was. But those penalties and just some of the mental lapses that you see him have prevent him from taking control of the competition completely. We should not be talking about Karan Amagaji. There should be zero conversation on Karan Amagaji being any part of this competition. I said it yesterday. I said it on the video this morning. I continue to say it. Karan's bad. And he gets cooked. I'm just trusting what my eyes can see. Am I an offensive line coach? No. But if I watch two guys go to war and the one guy continues to beat on the other guy, I kind of know which one is better. At least with Jedrick, you kind of see that bounce back. And I think that there's a lot of similarities to what we're seeing with Jedrick with what we saw from the entire offensive line last year in this system. And it's why I'm willing to afford him the time to figure things out. I know it's going to be tough, and you know how Ben's going to help that with 13 personnel. And we saw some, you want to talk about seeing some things? Oh, man, Ben Johnson's offense, when you don't know what's coming, bro. I mean, it's like porn. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable. He had a play today where they're in 13. Colston and Cole are out on the right side. He's got Sam Roush in at a fullback position. They turn around, they hand the football off. It's on the right side. Two tight ends on the right side of the line. Double team from Darnell and Cole essentially annihilates the defensive end on the play. You see a massive run up the right. I'm salivating in the stand. Because I've never seen offense like this at Soldier Field. I wasn't born in 1985. I've never seen an offense that just moved with grace and beauty. And I'm not saying that everything was perfect, but you can see what the bread and butter of this team is going to be. You can see what the bread and butter of this team is going to be. Y'all remember that Homer Simpson meme where he's like dreaming about I think he was dreaming about donuts and he's like looking up like this with like salivating. That's how it feels watching a Ben Johnson offense come together. I get excited. Y'all lucky I'm sitting down right now. This whole show would be canceled. Kick it! I ain't scared of you. I mean, sweet Jesus. I literally, and this is the tough part for me, right? Because you guys know I'm a diehard Bears fan. I got 36 inches of bear head over there, right? Like I love the Bears. I mean, it's bear down till I die. But like when you're with the media, there's a certain level of decorum that's supposed to happen, right? You're supposed to kind of just sit there and be, well, yes, that was a very good play. I enjoyed. No, I love that. Look at that. They put that down in my notebook. Yep, jot that down. Phenomenal. And I'm sitting in the stands, and I can't help myself, right? Swifty hits the move on, buddy. He hit him with that up and under joint, bro. I'm sitting in the back. I'm like, oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. I see the 13 person. I'm like, sweet Jesus, look at Ben. This guy. Everybody's looking back at me like, really, Pat? Really? Are we cheering in the stands? Alrighty, buddy. It's like, bro, like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I get excited watching good offense on the field. On the flip side of that, the defense absolutely is getting road graded. It was a bad day defensively. Like, I shouldn't say it was a bad day. It was a bad start defensively, but I thought the defense found a very, very good way to bounce back. I would say today, Caleb Williams and the offense kind of produced some of the flashes, right? They kind of produced, there were big plays. Caleb was able to connect with Colson Loveland for a massive completion over the middle. I mean, you talk about Loveland extending the hands out perfectly, secures the pass, brings the ball in. And you see Caleb catch Khalif Raymond on a screen pass that ends up becoming a touchdown. That was versus the number 2s out there. And that first drive, I literally just looked over. I was sitting next to Clay Harbor, who me and him always tend to find each other out there. But like, I'm sitting next to Clay Harbor, and I'm just like, hey, bro, this defense might get real ugly this season, dog. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it might get real ugly this season. And he's like, yeah, bro, I don't know. But then you started to see the defense fight back as you got through a lot more of the team periods, right? I thought there was a red zone period where the offense and the defense basically are at the one. The offense is trying to punch the football in. It eventually goes in with that Kyle Monangai touchdown that I talked to you about. But there were 3 plays before that where the defense shut them down just about completely. I mean, Devin Bush tracked down Caleb on a red zone scramble where he's rushing to the right side. Does it? Gave him a little bump. Didn't give him too much. Gave him a little chicken wing. Didn't do too much with it. There was another play where it was supposed to be Monangai up the middle. Instantly wrapped up. There was one more on there where, they tried to get the ball. I think it was out to, I want to say, Khalif Raymond. And you just saw the defense come flying in and make a great tackle. I think it was Nefi Sewell on that one, just flying in, makes a great tackle, brings them down. So, like, there's these plays where you see the defense fight back, and they're showing that, we're not dead. We still got some teeth on us. Even, right, like on 4th and 3, during the final situation period, their goal at that point is trying to get the football into the end zone. Caleb drops back, rolls right, starts to roll left, has nowhere to go, gets rid of the football. Right? So you're forcing a very difficult offense into some tough situations, and the defense started to win some of those. So, like, I would say, as we kind of got to the finish of practice, the defense showed you more than what you expect. And I would say that's kind of been what we've seen the entire time. Again, my expectations are low. I'm not sitting here telling you that I think that this defense is going to be a top 5 defense all time. I struggle to believe that they're going to be above 25. I do. With a lot of the things that they have to overcome, with the injuries that they have already, with the lack of defensive line help that they have, even though there are some solid pieces that are starting to emerge in the middle. Jordan Vandenberg, I'm looking at you, brother. Even though you're starting to see some of those guys, like, it's just starting off, you can kind of see this defense is going to have some struggles to deal with here early on, and they're going to take some time to have to figure some things out. But then it gets to the end of practice, and as they do, the first team offense, I would say, fails to finish practice successfully. Like they end up getting rid of the ball in a tough period. On the flip side of that, though, right, you're in a red zone moment, and Caleb Williams, it was supposed to be, what is it? It's like it's goal line, but essentially the offense is on the 1. Caleb Williams drops back, ends up rolling right, sees Rome Odunze pop open, flips the ball over to him. And in this drill, the goal was to get 2 first downs. Gets it to Rome. Rome makes a guy miss, takes off up the field, and he looks like Rome gets a massive gain. They go out there again. Caleb talked about it in the presser, right? Loses Scotty Miller for a second, flips the ball over to Miller. When he sees him, they get the second first down. They win that drill. So I say all those scenarios to say the entire day was a give and take. The entire day pretty much was, hey, it's your turn to win. It's our turn to win. And that's what you want to see from a training camp practice. I know we want to see those days where it's like Caleb Williams never missed. But it's just not what the result is, right? And when you're going up against the defense that has as much pride, no matter what you think on the talent, that has as much pride as I think that this group has, they're not going to take it lying down. They're not just going to let you walk all over them. They're not just going to let you come into their house or whatever you want to call it in these practices and just go, yeah, it's your world. I think what you're going to see this year from a defense is a defense that flies around, that is incredibly fast. The one thing you can't take away from, incredibly fast. I mean, Devin Bush runs like a wide receiver and hits like a linebacker. You know what I mean? Like he in the run, he should be so effective this season, but you're going to see a defense that's going to give you everything that they've got. And you know what? As far as I'm concerned, unfortunately, because of where I think the talent is going to lie, I can take that right now. I can deal with seeing that level of, because they hear it. They hear the conversations we're having, right? You're going to need 40 to beat this team, or to beat anybody this year. You're going to have to put up 50 to go out there and beat some of the good teams, which still may be the case. But the mindset that they have is that is BS, and we're not going to stand for it. And we're going to go out here and show you that even through the injuries, we're not going to be that defense that gives up 30 every single game. And look, for as bad as the defense was, we had a lot of opportunities to win games if the offense takes more advantage of some of the turnovers that we have. So we'll see what ends up being make or break with this defense. Something to be excited about for the defense, though, is we saw a return to team drills for TJ Edwards, probably one of the biggest developments of the day. He received some of his first team reps since coming off of that NFI list. Immediately made a tackle on Roschon Johnson for no game. I mean, shot through off of that off of the right side. Was in the backfield in a flash and was able to wrap him up and bring him down. You could tell his instincts, his ability, his ability to diagnose, his ability in the run game still seems pretty top tier, and maybe that's going to help this defense tremendously, especially with him alongside Devin Bush. I would say you expect the Bears to continue to manage his workload. Expect the Bears to kind of to not put too much on him too quickly. But you're starting to see TJ Edwards come back, and he looks pretty much the part of the guy that left. I think that's going to be something very exciting for this team. Another thing defensively that you continue to see stand out is the workload continues to expand for Malik Muhammad, very similar to what we saw with Xavier Thomas before he got banged up. He's getting valuable reps pretty consistently. He's working a ton with the first team at nickel. He moved outside when Tyreek Stevenson was absent for that final period as well. He ended up sitting out on that final period, and his ability to line up at multiple positions, you can tell, is going to be a pretty big strength for him moving forward. It's going to be something that, as far as Dennis Allen is concerned, when you talk about Coby Bryant, when you talk about Dylan Thieneman, right, like that to me is what you're seeing from Malik Muhammad early on, just from a slot corner or outside corner position. And the fact that you can put him in so many versatile spots, I think is going to be a massive help to this defense moving forward. I think that's going to be his clearest path to get on the field too. Like the bottom line with all of it is you're going to be able to play if you can play wherever you're needed. And it's pretty clear that Malik Muhammad is willing to go out there and play that Dove Brisker role. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments about anything that I've talked about to this point. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Big shout out to you guys for tuning in and showing love as always. One final thing, because everybody wants one every single show, so I always try to give it to you. Your Jordan Vandenberg update for the day. He continues to get more looks. He continues to get more usage. He opened up with the first team at defensive tackle during the short line period or short yardage period on the goal line and got in a ton of goal line work. Forced that starting offense to have probably some of its most physical battles between him and Garrett Bradbury. I almost said Drew Dahlman. Between him and Garrett Bradbury, I mean, pretty much you see his opportunities continue to grow inside and outside with Montez Sweat out. And it just, you truly see that every time you give him more on his plate, he's like, bet I can handle that. Now what's the next thing you want to give me? I think this coaching staff clearly appears to be, genuinely interested in finding out, and I think the preseason games are going to be massive for that, finding out what this guy is going to be. Finding out, did we find another diamond in the rough in the late rounds? Did we find a guy that's going to be able to help us tremendously on the defensive line? Heck, we've talked about Jordan Vandenberg more than we've talked about Neville Gallimore, who's a guy that we signed, who's a veteran guy who can make an impact in the run game. But I just, when you see Vandenberg's game, it truly is just like you can't help but notice him. Even the plays where I'm not watching, because I went into today and I was like, you know what? I've been very harsh with Jedrick Wills. Let me see if I'm seeing the right thing. So I was very focused on Jedrick today. But even as you're focusing on Jedrick and you're focusing on the offensive line or whatever it is, your eyes can't help but flash and go, Jesus, did he just take that guy to the... Okay, all right. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. All right. Let's lock back in here. Let's see what we got here from Jedrick. Oh, my God. Oh, sweet Jesus. Like, pretty consistently, you are seeing Jordan Vandenberg or saying his name or saying 96 or whatever it is. And it feels just like when we were here last year and I was going, I'll tell you what, this Kyle Monangai might take some jobs out here because he's having a camp. He's running hard. He's not playing around and he's getting the job done. That's how I feel about Jordan Vandenberg right now. I mean, you talk about somebody who it feels like is a shoo-in to get a real position on this team. Like, bro, Neville, they're going to do things by committee anyway, right? They kind of do platoon swaps with the defensive line, but Jordan Vandenberg is going to see real NFL minutes this year, and don't be surprised. I love how Garrett Bradbury says he's going to be a good player for a long time. That is kind of what I feel with Jordan Vandenberg right now. But, hey, man, like I said, let me know how you guys feel down in the comments below. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I am going to get up out of here because I pretty much have been gone all day. I still have another podcast to record, and I haven't seen my family yet. So I'm going to get up out of here, man. I appreciate y'all for showing love in the manner that you always do. As always, it is your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bad Don, one love. Peace. Red Nation, are we here? The best show for Chicago sports.